Happy Information Wednesday, Shalise McQueen here. Per my teaser, I'm talking about a new business practice that insurance companies are implementing in conjunction with the MVD, which will have an impact on your renewal if you're not paying attention. This new business practice is called driver discovery. At least that's what Farmers calls it. Other companies may have a different name for it. This really, in the overall scheme of things, is a good concept, because what we're trying to do is bridge the gap of all these uninsured drivers on the road, which per previous video, I gave you a stat of 1 out of 5 drivers on the road is not insured. Very scary stuff. So what this driver discovery means is anyone with a valid driver's license and whatever address is being reported on their driver's license is how people will now be associated with you and your auto insurance. For example, say you have a resident relative that lives in your property but has their own auto insurance, your insurance company will be sending you a notice with their name on it saying, hey, who's this driver? Do we need to exclude them? Do we need to add them to your policy, etc.? And if you were not to respond to this notice, you're going to find this person added to your auto policy, which is going to bump your... This is where this gets tricky. So there's a lot of people out there, I'm unfortunately included in this, that does not update their address. My driver's license still shows my mother's address, even though I've not been in the household for over a decade. Way over a decade. So in theory, we'll use my mom as an example. My poor mom would probably get a letter from an insurance company saying, hey, Shalise McQueen is going to be added to your auto policy, which I should not be because I have my own auto insurance. But this is something that could possibly happen. And those of you who live in apartments or condos where you've had some turnover in that property, you could be getting old tenants or other occupants that lived there in the past that could be showing up on your policy as well. Other household members, like I said, that may have their own policies may be showing up, etc. So it's really important to make sure that you pay attention to any correspondences coming your way in the near future, especially in relation to your auto insurance renewal. As I was saying, the reason I'm telling you about this driver discovery is so you're not paying for someone that you may or may not know in your future on your auto insurance. And this is where it's important to have an agent on your side like me to help manage the process and make sure that whomever is on your policy is supposed to be there, or who is not supposed to be there is not on there, as well as your other endorsements and coverage options. Now let's talk about briefly who should absolutely be listed on your auto policy. This really comes down to anyone that lives in your household, whether they're related or not. And if they have their own supplemental car insurance, it's a non-issue. They're just required to be insured in some fashion, whether on your policy or individually. I want to also talk about someone that maybe is staying in their house for an extended period of time that does not have their own auto insurance. So anyone that's going to be with us for more than 30 days that we're allowing them to use our vehicle, it's important to have them on the auto policy temporarily. As I was saying, have them on the policy temporarily until either they are no longer in your residence or don't have access to your car and or have their own policy. It's just better to be on the up and up. I know we hate paying for car insurance, but the reality is you don't want to end up having an auto accident that your friend or whomever staying in your home had caused and have the insurance company deny it. That would be the absolute worst thing that could ever happen. So let's avoid that at all costs and just have the conversation with your agent with the scenario going on. I have clients call me all the time asking like, oh, so-and-so is coming to visit. Are they covered? The answer is yes. For short term, they're absolutely covered by extension of your auto policy, but it is important that if they're there for an extended period of time, we have a separate conversation. Real quick, I want to talk about our newly licensed drivers, our teenagers. When I first got started with Farmers, I took over a book of business, and one of the clients had informed supposedly the previous agent that their daughter started driving. However, they were never added on the policy. And what had happened was the daughter got in an accident. Luckily for them, Farmers stepped up and took care of the claim and went ahead and added the daughter back into the policy so she had coverage. But this could have been a very different scenario in the event that Farmers was not such a stand-up company. They could have denied the claim altogether, which would not have been good for my customer. The moral of the story, and the reason I'm telling you this, is even a permitted driver should be added to your auto policy. Even though they're not licensed yet fully, they are required to be listed in your policy so they have coverage. The good news is until they're licensed, they're not rated as a driver, which means you're not paying a premium for them. a newly licensed driver is the perfect time to contact your insurance company and or agent or both and have the simple conversation to make sure that your policy is suiting your needs still, talk about an umbrella policy, and of course make sure all the discounts that you need are stacked on there, and if there's any opportunity for any new ones, because as I mentioned, youthful drivers are terribly expensive and they stay that way till they're 25. So any way we can help get that premium down, let's definitely do that. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. As I mentioned, pay attention to your auto premiums and renewals as they come up. Give me a call. I'm here to be a resource for you. Audit your policy. Let's shop your rates. Let's make sure you have the right insurance company and agent on your side. And remember to ask yourself, are you protected? As always, we'll see you all next week. You can reach me at 602-525-5665 or email me at cmcqueen@farmersagent.com.